What is the difference between being punk and being a punk?
We are here to talk some punk rock, some music, comics,
Punk culture, DIY shit, anything we want to talk about.
That's what fascinates me. Give me everything. Absolutely everything.
I find that music and comics have always been intertwined.
Muck spout.
Chicks dig it. Don't worry.
Hey, welcome to Muck Spot Podcast, brought to you by Stupid Rad Merch Company. They make anything from t-shirts to stickers to anything you're looking for, really. They're big custom design stuff. Got with me John today over there. And Ben is off tonight. He's being a rock star right now out on tour, and so he'll be in and out. And with us today, we have the Majungas. Not the Majungas. We have Majungas.
Yeah, it's an either or. You could use the
Oh, is it? Okay. Some people get offended when you stick a the in front of their name.
It's very hard to name a band with the anything, so, it's kind of a low-key flex for us.
True. So we got Mike and Max with us. And I don't want you guys describe Majungas to us.
Well, weird in one word.
When I'm telling strangers about this, I say it is a rock band about aliens. I used to say alien rock band because that sounds awesome. But then people were asking kind of like what tonality we're using, and and I'm just like, no, it's rock and roll. But
I remember I got this children's book for my son one time that came with this CD, and it was about an alien rock band, and like the music was awful because they were just trying to be weird and alien, but it was like unlistenable. So that is a good distinction probably to make.
Exactly.
It probably makes more sense if you do flip it, like Max said, because we're rooted in like a very catchy classic rock sort of sound.
Or power pop is how I describe it to musicians. Because in the energy and the writing style that Mike uses, it's really very like he says catchy, but also just focusing on having just strengthened, fortified music,
Yeah, but the song topics are anything, of the fringe. I mean, you guys described it best in the past as, really just strange tales told through songs. That's basically what we do. So, and we've started out as a band, when I first founded it, we were like kind of like half and half. It was kind of like half the songs were just way bizarre and just really unusual characters and wild storytelling. And then there was like half of it that was kind of like deep and philosophical. I guess I was still figuring stuff out, but then I just decided to go all weird and started with the Aliens and the first Alien album that Max and I did. And, 3 albums later, we're still doing it.
Yeah. Well, and the way that I describe the project is that we're like Steely Dan. It's a pair of us, and then it's mostly us. Steely Dan farmed out, but it was they had the curated stylists of the time, and I really Mike's music gives me a lot of room to just do some funky stuff. Basically, a lot of jazz guys think of it as like they say it's kind of like a Frank Zappa kind of arrangement, because I'm just filling space around what we have established. And so, if it's sometimes the song turns into a different genre because it was willed by the aliens to do that. But we don't question those kind of impulses either.
One thing that I find often when you find something that's weird like that, you think of parody. And we had a band on last time. It wasn't last week, right? A couple weeks ago. So we had the band called Avum, on, and they are a band that writes about birds from the perspective of birds, like educationally, and but like it's not parody. It's they know birds and they sing about birds and they really are super into birds, and that's you guys are along that line too, where like the lyrics and the stories are very well told and they're very well researched. Like you know the stories, you've done your homework, and it's not a joke, like per se.
Right. Well, and I mean, and as the projects develop, like Mike said, he's just writing about weird stuff, and aliens are just the best kind of weird. And so, he has a song Pandemic. We have the song Pandemic that is not about aliens per se, but we kind of we interpreted that in that fashion. Not that the subject is contained in that though.
Yeah. So how long you guys known each other?
Probably.
Well,
9 or 10 years ago, we started playing shows together.
Yeah, if I started Majungas 2013, and then maybe by like that second year, so maybe around 2015 or so, 2014, 2015, we were doing a lot of shows on the same bill.
Yeah, our bands played together. I had my band Cherry Lift.
Yeah, and I had my original lineup, and we were just we would open, they would close, and we did that several times, and that's just kind of how we got to know each other. And I always liked Max and his energy and his charisma, and
well,
it's just something I had in the back of my mind, like, oh, that'd be cool to do something with him one day,
and really, if you're going to play multiple shows with a band, you might do a 2 or 3, you might do one, a couple nights in a row or whatever at the same. If you do kind of like a tour kind of thing where you're moving around, but we did more than that, and I was like, I just like to hang with this dude.
Yeah.
And then we turned into Steely Dan a couple of years after that. But yeah.
Yeah, it was when my original band split up, I was kind of figuring out what I was going to do next, because we were actually in the middle of working on our first Alien album, which was the Ancient Astronaut Theory album, the black album with the gray alien figurine on it. And he had, we were I was trying to figure out a way to get that done. I sort of reinvented, Majungas is like a studio recording act at the time, and just trying to find musicians to help out, just do things that I can't do to see if we could finish it and process it and production. So I was reaching out to Max, and off and on.
Well, and what happened was I was having trouble with Cherry Lift as well, and so I was like, not now, Mike. I can't deal with this right now. And then we ran into each other at we sat a row apart at a Paul McCartney concert.
Oh, cool.
It was probably 2018.
That sounds about right.
And he's like,
was that the one in Tinley?
What?
Was that the one in Tinley?
Yeah. And he walks up to me and says, "Excuse me, are you Max?" And I was like, "Mike." I was like, "Yes, Mike." Who's asking? And then I was like, "All right, send me your stuff." And then I was like, "All right, give me your stuff. Let's work." And yeah, the process has just changed. The thing is that like we're continuously just adapting the workflow. Like this album, I insisted on several extra steps in the production, and it slowed down some of the things that we used to do faster. But I think it had really good results. So no regrets there. Nobody died either.
That we know of. Yeah.
But yeah, and like there was times when Mike used to record in his man cave, and I was like, "Hey, I want to be there," and he's like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, you should come over. And then I so I could supervise and get the performance. I had him doing some funny things. Mike says is like some of the songs actually he has these gestures that I made him do, and he feels them. I can't remember exactly which ones they were because it's it's been a minute, but
yeah, that was my only regret about the last album, Alien Abduction, that we did is I wish we would have recorded the recording process and just made like a little skit out of that, because it was some of the stuff that Max had me doing was really funny.
Yeah.
And I mean, like the vocal direction,
yeah,
and the vocal managing and coaching. I totally let Max run that and spin it any which way he wanted. But like, he had me like punch in the air on certain parts.
Yeah, because he wasn't guttural enough on that one. I was like, you got to really go, bah! And and I mean, there was other ones like reaching up, like just kind of, like just to open up his body differently, And
this is stuff that you've done as a career, right, Max? Like you teach.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've done lots of things here and there, but I've been coached very specifically by some vocal teachers, some great people that I worked with, mainly out of Elmhurst College, actually. But just circumstances of the surrounding area. But the thing was that those were all stage teachers. That whole pedagogy. That's just they all like are belting constantly, and I try not to do that as I get older, but I had that training in me for years and years, and some of those tricks, the results, it's just there. I mean, trust me, we used the best takes we had, and but it was just I wanted Mike to pull shape. I was like, you have to make a triangle now. He's like, what? No, now you're a circle, oval, and so
That's awesome. So Max, were you into aliens and the paranormal before you met Mike? Was this a thing that
I definitely have always been into the ancient alien shows, and growing up on like a little bit of science fiction. I won't, it was just the big ones, but just the concept of it and the aspect of intervention, outside intervention, just kind of helps. Well, it just happened that way, and I did that, and it just made a lot of sense to me, and so it was all very, you wrote an album about aliens? F yeah. And it's just definitely something that I, it's fascinating, and actually, like, it's very educational. I got some people into the ancient alien stuff, and with like the Anunnaki is one of my favorite themes from our songs, and that's actually one of those songs that where Mike gave me his contributions, and a drum beat, and he's very, very polished. They're not. We used elements of them. We just added to it when we made the final products. But the Anunnaki, and I said, and he came back, and I'd been working on some stuff while he was gone, and he came back the next week, and then I said, oh yeah, that reggae song, and he goes, there's a reggae song. And I was like, oh yeah, there's a reggae song, and he didn't know that, because I had forgotten to send him a little chop, just a little segment for him to hear. But yeah, I was just like, I wanted it to be funky first, and then it just kind of fell into being a reggae. It just was like, like the House of Cards collapsed into reggae, and so I mean, it was just one of those things. But that song comes on my autoplay on like Spotify and stuff, so a lot. So I'm like, oh, everybody listen to this and read about it, and then everybody's like, that's amazing, and it's a good way to propagate some of these ideas, and We should definitely get some suggestions from the community just to see if there are any obvious ones that we've missed.
Yeah, probably. I mean, coming up, we'll talk a little bit later about Strange Tales Weekly, but during that process, we often will ask, like we'll put a post out or something asking what people are looking to hear more about. So you might be able to get some suggestions from some of those stories too. Mike, where did your fascination with the paranormal and the aliens begin?
I mean, very young, you know, I've always been influenced by the media aspect of things. So it probably started with movies and TV shows, you know, sci-fi movies I would watch growing up, even just ghost stories.
Oh my God. And we had X-Files as kids.
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
We were so lucky.
I didn't read very much as a kid growing up, but the one series that I would always read was Goosebumps, you know? So, I mean, I was just always really into that type of stuff. I just gravitated towards it. Halloween's always was a favorite holiday of mine growing up. So it's just kind of been where I've gravitated towards for whatever reason. And then, you know, I think as I got older, you know, more like adult age, I'm still influenced a lot by the shows and media. And I really took a liking to Ancient Aliens, and just kind of for a lot of the same reasons for, you know, how I think my music is, and you mentioned the songwriting is, you know, it could be outlandish, but, you know, like it's also done with integrity and seriousness too. And I think Ancient Aliens does that a lot too. Like they'll have an episode like Aliens and Bigfoot, and you're like, come on, you know, it's just like what kind of nonsense is this? But then after it, you're done watching, and you're like, huh, maybe, yeah, I don't know. I guess Bigfoot was made by
Very
aliens.
plausible.
You know, very
plausible.
well done. You know, like, I wasn't expecting that.
I have no doubt now.
So that's kind of where I took that feeling that I get when I watch those shows, and I wanted to. My initial thought was I was just going to make one album about it and move on to other things, but it was just so much fun. And then, you know, promoting it at the Alien Con that we did in Baltimore, and just networking with people from that area was wild. And you know, I came home, I was just like, you know, I'm flames. I'm like, dude, we got to do another album, and we're going to Alien Con in LA, and we just got to keep this thing going. You know, I don't.
That second album just like came out all in one piece. Like I'm pretty sure like 90% of it was written before I knew it was a thing.
Yeah.
And then he's like, look at this. And I go, oh God.
Yeah, there was a lot of time hop. It was like a Bill and Ted, you know, Excellent Adventure. We're in the phone booth, and we're like, you know, flying through wormholes.
The excellent alien spaceship.
So the band is named after the Majungasaurus, correct?
Yeah.
So where does that come from? Or where does that play into things?
That was probably one of the first songs I ever wrote. And, you know, I early on, again, watching other just media and not necessarily alien things, but one of the other things I've spent a lot of time learning about was dinosaurs. And I just happened to catch this one show that was talking about the Majungasaurus dinosaur. I'd never heard of it up until that point, but they sort of painted this picture of this really bizarre looking dinosaur, and there were all sorts of theories, like maybe it was subjected to some sort of mutation, like you know, maybe elemental exposure or something. But it's just a hideous looking creature compared to other dinosaurs. Just had features that normally dinosaurs don't have, but yet there was like a, you know, it was a really a apex predator. It was very, you know. You wouldn't want to cross an alley with it, you know. And
actually has a pretty friendly skull, though.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I've seen. When I go to the museum, I see the skull.
Yeah, so it was just I just felt like there was an interesting story to tell there, and that was kind of the first song that I ever wrote. Was Majunga, and it was just about a Majunga living his life during the time, you know, sort of getting ridiculed by other dinosaurs for his weird features, but, you know, trying to make his way, and, you know, dealing with a mother that abandons them and stuff like that. And, it's just, I don't know. I kind of made a little song out of it. And that was, I had a handful of demos that I did in effort to try and recruit other musicians that ultimately ended up becoming my band. The first time we ever met together, we just had very acoustic arrangement and a hand drum. And we were just kind of seeing if there's any type of synergy there. And Majungas was the first one that I threw out there. I said, well, let's try this one, and see what comes up out of it. And we hit a chord with it immediately. Like you could, the energy in the room, you could feel it. And I was like, I go, well, that's definitely a song right there. And I said, I think we should run with that. I said, we should probably somehow name ourselves the Majungas or something like that. And it was my drummer at the time said, he goes, just Majungas. And I said, all right.
Just face it.
But sometimes it does matter.
Yeah.
So there's that story. I actually never heard that whole story altogether. That was really good.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the band Fuck Yeah Dinosaurs? They're out Pennsylvania somewhere, maybe Pittsburgh. But they're all their songs are about dinosaurs or told through dinosaurs, and it's some of it's hilarious, but it's not parody. It's just these great punk rock songs from a dinosaur. They have a great one. I'll send you later about a tar pit. That's amazing. He sings about how he lost his mom in the tar pit, he lost his sister in the tar pit, and he's never going back again and stuff. It's amazing.
I thought about I did have a little mini concept album. Maybe I was thinking 4 or 5 songs where I was gonna continue the story of the Majunga and maybe spin in some other dinosaurs. And
then an alien was hunting him.
Yeah.
Into the tar pit.
You guys had a couple of albums and year after year for, what was it, 2016 and 17 or something, and then COVID hit. Was that the COVID slow you guys down a bit? How'd COVID factor into the whole Majungas story?
Yeah, it was weird, like everyone, but yeah, it was different for both of us. I mean, we had our own personal things we had to sort out, and then there was getting creative again. I'd say for me, some people right from the beginning, they were just oh, I'm gonna finish my book, I'm gonna direct this movie or whatever. They just went to town right away. They're just this is the perfect thing I needed. Me, I had to figure out how my new way to adjust and do life and family and everything and work and then finally I wasn't creative at all for a while. And then I'd say about 4 to 6 months or so after the original lockdown, I hit that groove where I was just okay, let me start with 1 or 2 songs. Let's see what's there. And then I just, I let it all out and Max was going through stuff too. So it was hard to, really connect together. So it was, that's what took the, as long as it did. And then I'd say it wasn't until probably a year before, even though I had the demos done, it was probably a year before we actually sat there and started to really do the work. But then by that point, like Max said, he was he really wanted to, and I told him, I said, if we do a third one, I said, we're gonna build this thing together. I don't care how long it takes, so we really, at that point we're just what does it matter? We're gonna make sure it comes out the way we want it to.
I threw out more material on this album than anything else before. I always will scrap something if I sit on it a month or two and then I don't like it, I'll go back and redo it, or if something's just, I try and just get a take. So if I die, you can mix it. But there was this, which one was that?
Human Alien Hybrid.
Yeah, Human Alien Hybrid. That was a guitar lead, and then it was a synth lead, and then it was a guitar playing the synth lead, and then it was what is on the album. So, like I said, it was kind of like a Steely Dan, shoot it out, see if we can blast it out of the sky, and so that was kind of one of those things. but yeah, it was my workflow. For the circumstances of my life, I had a really like. I mean, I could be productive, but I couldn't produce through a whole song. I could do a part or two, but it was it's my workflow is just slow but also I just didn't want to make any mistakes that I would regret, and that's and Mike heard Mike could hear the improvements working like before we even went to mix, and our mix producer is Paul Weirdak is just breathtaking, award-winning quality. He came up interning through an analog studio, so just one of the best engineers I've ever worked with. I'm very lucky to have several good engineers in my life, though. By the way, like for my own stuff. But the thing is we just wanted it to be a stronger outcome, and there was so much of and we also recorded twice as much mic, so it would be we would get the perfect vocal take, and then I was like, okay, now we're gonna do the same thing, and it's it's way harder to do than it sounds. But I think sometimes we got a third mic, and then but it was like for effect, it was just we just had to have thicker vocals, and that's called double tracking in the industry. But and so many people triple track automatically. It's just like you got to have left, right, and center. And I don't want to get too technical, but but the thing is that Mike's voice sounds really good double tracked. It wasn't hard to do, and he was like, "We got to go back and do this on all the songs." So maybe a greatest hits kind of specialty thing, maybe in the future, but which we'll also have to involve the community with, I suppose.
I was gonna bring up that, as far as I can tell, next year is like a decade of Majungas. So that sounds like a good time for something like that.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. No, we can do it.
Like just live on the air, just throwing it around. I love you guys. But yeah.
So we have a video that we were going to show. Might be a good time for that. We're at the 7:30 mark.
Definitely.
Let me figure out how to present it now. Screen share.
Maybe.
I found it, and then I wanted to make sure that it's going to share audio. I think it is. Otherwise, we're just not doing this.
Do it.
And we'll go full screen. Nope, not like that. Okay. I'm told there might not be audio going on. Was the audio not working?
I don't know if other people had it.
Did you guys have audio? Sorry.
It was in there in the intro and then it went away.
Yeah, that's what I had too.
Oh man.
Trying to figure out what I did after that. I wonder if it's when I went live. I'm gonna try one more time. We don't have to be super professional. Whatever. This is punk rock on our end.
I'll messenger you if it's not working.
Thanks. I just looked at my phone as I was taking a drink. I was like, "Oh crap." Let me get it back to the beginning. Because obviously I was hearing the audio because I'm playing it through my thing. Add to stream.
I can't believe what I see. As I detach from my body, hovering over me. There I lie motionlessly. Is this a dream or am I dead? Will I wake? Is this the end? Can't move, feel or think. New dimensions on the brink. Just an out-of-body experience, one that's hard to comprehend. Gateway to a multiverse. Close your eyes and transcend. God, eternal beings are here. Shadowy and unclear. One by one, they appear. Show your faces, I have no fear. Cut me free from this black hole. I must explore this other world. Ready with my ring of keys. Portals to reality. Just an out-of-body experience. One that's hard to comprehend. Gateway to a multiverse. Close your eyes and transcend.
Woohoo! We made it work.
Sometimes I just want to rent a car and go.
There's-
You know?
I do know.
And now it's working too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
I was going to say, who said that? Can you guys hear that too, or is it in my head?
It's the fucking aliens.
Aliens.
We got Jess giving me shit. We got Jess saying great song. Hi Jess, we love you.
I love you, Jess.
Love the riff. Awesome.
Thank you.
That's very good.
I mean, it's just the same thing Mike was singing, but the fact is that when you add a sitar to something like that, it's just better.
Oh yeah,
That was cool. Had a really cool sound.
I try and get a little spooky sometimes, you know. When you're talking about being out of your body, you have to kind of rise to the occasion. See what I did there?
Those whispers too. They were.
Yeah, it's funny how that song really unraveled over time, and it's funny too because honestly, the song I never intended to write a song called "Out of Body Experience." It just sort of happened, you know. I was in the process of making the album, but at that particular moment in time, I was actually just like messing around with some other drum samples, and I was trying to piece together something else. And I was just, you know, when you have thousands of drum samples to listen to, you know, you spend a lot of time just clicking, listening for like 2 seconds, and you're like, nope. And I heard this one that just went boom, 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 boom. And I'm
that was a digital sample. That was that was a sample of a drum machine actually, and he combined. And I think that one of the drum machines is not like it's a different time. Like the time signature in the plugin is different than the tempo of the other drums, because the other drums are going with the project. And there's something in there. I think that's this track. And then I tried to kind of deconstruct what he did, and I was like, you know what? That's not my job.
Yeah, it like grabbed my attention. I'm sitting there just listening to it, and I was almost like hypnotized for a minute, just listening to the drum beat. It had nothing to do with the project song that I was trying to work on at the time, but I said, you know what, I'm gonna drag that and save that one I'm gonna do something with that. I don't know what, but I came back to it like a few days later and let it play out for a little bit, and I just played like one note on like this acid trip kind of guitar plug-in, and I was just like, bow, and I let it ring out for a long time, and then I went wow, now, and I just kept doing that for a while, and then I just said, all right, what am I going to mix in next? I was like, ding, doo, 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 you know, and it was just
very modal.
Yeah, it was very hypnotizing, and then I brought it to Max, and he brought the sitar on it, which was just like a game changer. And then,
the first thing, I'm pretty sure that we had the strings on there first, I used the creepy Mellotron string sample, and so that's very, you know, and if it was that was a sample, that was the actual tape sampler. Every key was a tape that played, and but like you would go out of tune, the speed of the motor would change, it would just vibrate out of order, and you'd have to keep moving it, and so it could get real gnarly, and this one's kind of tempered, but it still has that weird vibe that everybody loves.
Yeah, and then Max would send me on these random little detail assignments with. He's like, we need a Viking ship drum at this moment. He's like, I want a boom.
That's right.
Like the ground is shaking, the walls are shaking, and it's like boom. It's like cutting me through from his blindfold. I must explore. You know, like
must.
So I found something. I go, I think this will work, and we just highly affected it. You know, and
we compressed the bejesus out of it, and it was just, you know, I wanted it to just like pop in the speakers. But yeah, and then I think when he was doing that, I think I was like, must. And I think I had him doing that stuff on that song now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, and the whispers were a very late ad too, like, because keep in mind the original demos was almost 2 years in the making, and we were like almost getting ready to send things off for final, and And then I was just driving, listening to it just for reference, to make sure we're not missing anything. And I was just like, I was like, I heard the whisper like come, like I had like shrills, down my neck. I'm like, oh, I said, I got to add whispers. So the next day I went over, I go, plug me in real quick. I got to do this whisper thing. I was just
like, set that mic up right now, man. Yeah, that was so. Oh.
Yeah, I'm sure if that song was still, in the works right now, we would still be adding things to it. There was it was weird.
And some people have artistic restraints of, oh, I'm going to only work on it this much, or I'm only going to do this, and I'm like, we're a studio band, so we have to. I'm just like, I think we can do better. Because it's us, it's like, I'm not, I mean, I like the simpler things I do too, but, I was like, no, this is going to sound like crazy. And it worked.
So when it comes to your songs and your stories, like what's a favorite alien story that you have?
I mean, it's hard to pick just one. I think when I first started, it was really the ancient astronaut theory and how it could potentially explain the origin of humankind and how we sort of ended up here on Earth. And again, when I thought about that first album that we did, I had thought that was going to be the only album about aliens I'd probably ever write, at least for a while. So I made sure that it was something that was going to be long lasting and impactful and meant something to me. And, so I think it was really a lot of that early, origin of man, ancient astronaut theory type stuff that you get from the show. And then once I realized I was going to do more, then I'm just like, all right, what other cool stuff did I like?
Also, I'm gonna stop Mike right there, and it's kind of my fault that Mike is still writing about aliens, because I'm gonna take full credit and I said go to that convention, go sell something at that convention and shake some hands. And I said, wear that suit too. I mean, obviously he's going to wear this suit. He doesn't have any other suit. He has the other suit. He has the Galaxy suit. But anyway, but I was like, dude, there's nobody else doing this. And now there are. Now, like, however many years later, there are a few other bands out there doing it. And it's kind of, it's somewhat, different music from us too. So it's not really like, it doesn't really, affect our stance or anything, but this album came out and I'm like, there's got to be somebody that's into this, and nobody's writing some music about this, and so sync license, we're like trying to get on some shows maybe, but or just make music for shows about aliens or whatever, but or theme songs even, maybe, who knows, I don't know, just saying, but yeah, and that first album, it is all very like creation impact driven music, in terms of like we have gaps in our fossil records. We, there's some stuff that doesn't make sense, and also humanity lasting for as short as some people say, kind of not, kind of strange, but. And on that album, I have to say that my favorite one is Panspermia, because it's kind of like it's very basic. It's not like, oh, aliens flew here. It's just like, oh, this is just like alien material. And so, in the Big Bang or whatever, something that hit, after that, I mean, obviously, but like something hit Earth and then put life here, it could have been bacteria, but that song is just a bop.
Yeah.
So if anybody out there hasn't heard it yet, then that's probably my number one pick off that album. I
remember that one being a favorite of the Strange Tales crew. So
yeah,
right.
Yeah, the second album, when we did Charioteer Through Wormholes, that one I wanted to make more like my top 10, or actually 12 songs I think we did, top 12 ancient alien topics, like my favorite ones. And when I choose my favorite ones, I try to choose the ones that I think are the most plausible and like believable. and that has the most like merit behind it. You know, so I'm open for debate. I'm not 100% convinced or sold either which way, but it's like, to me, it's just like I think there's a really good case for some of that stuff. So like Bob Lazar, they're just pulling random things in there. The story of the Anunnaki, Gobekli Tepe. I mean, I picked all of my favorite ones, and I made like a list. I had like a bubble, a cloud, and I just kept moving the ones that I felt I was gonna be able to flesh out into a song, and it was gonna be done with merit and give it some justice. So yeah, the Chariots with the Wormholes album would tell you my favorite or my most interested.
And I would say the Anunnaki is like, it's a personal like that. I like that shit's real. Pardon my French, but like that is what's up. But with the Gobekli Tepe, that's what I'm talking about. The like rewritten history, like we you know what I mean? Like what we had, everybody goes, oh, look, the ancient Egyptians knew that there was Pluto. How did they know that? Whatever. That's not my point. But Gobekli Tepe though, that like blew my mind. And I didn't know about it until he already wrote the song, and I was just like, yep, that's what's up. So
that's awesome. So I guess I haven't talked about Strange Tales Weekly at all on this show, I don't think yet at all. But it was a show that I was doing with my friends Joe and Jess before COVID. We basically stopped at COVID. And during that process of doing that show, it was short segments about strange stories, whether it be aliens or government conspiracy or, the Bigfoot or any other cryptids. And we each week we did a story. That during that process is when we met Majungas. And I don't remember if Mike reached out to Joe or if Joe reached out to Mike. I just remember that Joe mentioned one day, hey, I got these guys that do alien songs. I think it was Joe, right? Is that where that began?
It started through Joe. There was some connection with the first album and Alien Con and Adventures Unlimited Press and then there was Strange Tales roped in there as well, and we were just sort of kind of doing the same things, but one through music and one through video casting. So it was kind of cool, that we were aligned that way. And then he asked us if we would be on the show, and then fast forward some time later, we were vending together and then the Krampus show, you guys came out for that. So I think it's funny. You mentioned the other day that you were the only that you haven't met Jess yet. I'm probably the only one that's actually met all three of you. I've met you, Joe, and I've seen Jess out in LA. So it's funny.
Yeah, that is funny. So towards the end of our run of our show, Mike was part of an episode. And were both of you guys part of that? I don't even remember.
No, it was just Mike.
Okay, it's just Mike. And so when we were talking about bringing back the show, which we've talked about for like 3 years or whatever, and then I just threw out there like, hey, what about bringing Mike into it too? So we have just another creator working on it. Like we had a lot of fun working on the same similar stuff. So Mike has joined us as a fellow host on the season 2 of Strange Tales Weekly that we're working on now. So I wanted to mention that it's coming up at the end of this month, June 28th. I've actually got that figured out now. Every time I mention it, I think it's June 28th. So,
and now is that going to be like you're going to be the alien expert, or is it just kind of a general role for you? And Eric, do you have a specialty on that show, or is that?
I do actually tend more towards like cryptids and things like that. But I did a little bit of everything throughout the first run. Just cryptids are fun to me. What I like about cryptids is they're local, like they're all stuck in like a local area, and like the areas are interesting to me. There's people in the areas that tell stories, and it's similar to alien contacts and things like that, abductions.
Yeah, but like you said, it's very area specific folklore,
and they're often tied to cultures and things that have been in the area. Like, so that makes it interesting to me.
Okay.
I think it's funny now that I think about it. I did 2 episodes on the first season, and I'm going to have 3 on this upcoming, at least so far, and none of them are about aliens.
Oh, interesting.
Which I think is which is kind of fun for me because I usually spend my music juices on writing for aliens, but with Strange Tales, I could just do whatever. I could find some other random thing that I would never in a million years think to tie music to it and try and make a song out of it. But I could make a cool video and like make a good presentation on it. And so that's been really fun for me to do like paranormal stuff and just weird stories.
All that stuff is awesome. We have nothing against it. We're not just into aliens,
I was going to say, do you think any of that material might make its way into song form eventually, or are you pretty?
Yeah, it's definitely possible. It's it always, for me, it always starts with it's the story. There's like 2 things that are synthesized and or brew up in different areas, and then they just find a way to unite. I'll have a story that's in my mind, and I kind of keep that tabled for a bit, and then I'll just be walking along and whistling or humming or some kind of weird music comes into my mind and streams into my consciousness, and I'm like, oh, that would pair well with that story, and then I'm like, okay, that's when I go into the cave and try and see if I can make something work.
And Mike, the thing is that like I don't think he said this when we were talking about the first album, the first Alien album, but like he says, I would be going to bed and I would just be thinking of these songs, or I would just be thinking about the blah blah, and then it would just be like, and then I'd have to go and like write it down, and it's just very analytical, but but the storyteller format, of course, if you have a good story, if it's compelling, if it catches Mike's attention for more than a few days, then who knows.
And you can't tell me that a chupacabra might not be an alien that just kind of showed up here.
If anybody says that chupacabra is not an alien, how can you prove that?
Exactly. So definitely some good fodder for what else. Yeah, it might be a crossover there too.
I think one thing for me this season too is that the first 2 that I've been working on, I've been having to travel a lot for work. And so I've been looking ahead to see what's in that area story-wise, so I can actually go out and film like on location a bit. So that's been kind of fun for me. I think the first episode of this season is going to be about the Beast of Bray Road. That's a werewolf in southern Wisconsin.
Oh, cool.
And I was heading up to Madison for Zine Fest, and I stopped in town and I drove the length of Bray Road and I filmed some things there, and I went into town and filmed things, and it's fun bringing that, because prior to that, all of my footage has been B-roll or photos, and a lot of it still will be, but it was fun being able to bring my own video into it.
Hopefully you didn't film that at night on a full moon or anything like that.
I'd love to go back at night. I was actually heading back from Madison, so it was like a little before noon.
Well, that's how the stupid guy in every horror movie starts, though. Don't do it, man.
I want to be.
We need you around for a while. So.
That's the dream, man.
To get mauled on camera. Okay.
No, I mean, if somebody dies a metal death, that's still badass, even though they're not. Even though they're not alive, like it's still like.
If I'm gonna go, I might as well for sure.
The Skinwalker, yeah.
All right. Shit. Okay.
Awesome. Well, we're getting to the end of the show. I want to play this this other video that you sent me, and now I know how to do this. So
now with 100% more audio.
It turned out that when I mute me, it mutes my computer. So, do you want to tell us what we're about to hear, Mike?
Yeah, it's a recording we did live in promoting our second album, Charioteer Through Wormholes. This is I Believe in Bob Lazar.
Awesome. And
this song's called I Believe in Bob Lazar. merry day for the blacked out bus heading to S4. So mysterious, arrive at the mountainside, watch the hangar doors rise. It's an underground base, really in disguise. Skin the bones in my hand, it's my ID. It's time to reverse alien technology, extraterrestrial craft, element 115. To conceal this is a crime against humanity. What's the truth of Bob Lazar? What's the truth of Bob Lazar? To see the truth, you have to read the gray and throw all the cover-up lies away. Consistent details with every claim, never sought out a life of fortune and fame. Put a janitor with no college degree, run a scientific supply company. I believe in Bob Lazar. I believe in Bob Lazar. Thank you all so much.
So what are your feelings on Bob Lazar?
I believe
that dude is kick-ass.
There was a lot of comments in the chat about how great the song was, but also it should be mentioned that that's the Galaxy suit that you were wearing. That is amazing as well.
Oh yeah. I had to switch it up today. I felt like I've been.
Yeah, this is the classic.
I've been using the Galaxy a lot lately, but
well, he has two suits. He has to wear them both.
Yeah, I did get a third one, but it's it got spoiled because it's supposed to be a bunch of gray alien heads on it, but the detail on it wasn't done very well. And somebody at one of the alien cons saw me from a distance. He goes, "What's that suit pattern? Bubbles?" And I go,
glass shatters in Mike's head.
You killed it. You killed it for me.
Like, we're gonna burn it. We're gonna have like a super fan sweepstakes, and we're gonna burn it at the bonfire, and we're gonna let the super fan set it on fire.
Yeah,
not while Mike's wearing it or anything. You know?
Here's a barrel and some fluid, lighter fluid. There you go.
Oh, you know.
Awesome. So what's next for Majungas?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I think there's probably a merging of some sort probably going to happen with the Strange Tales stuff and the music that we've done and probably will continue to do, because I've gotten really good with like video editing and compilations and stuff like that. So I think we've talked about doing like a high quality music video and maybe redoing one of our old songs, with some of the newer methods that we've done with this third one. Because if you listen to Alien Abduction album and you listen to the songs there and you listen to any of the other two, I mean, they sound night and day difference. So, we've gotten a process that is really, top shelf right now. And it'd be cool to go back and do one of those old songs and make a good music video to it and record it live, not like a re-recording with the drum mix and everything, like actually get a live drummer and, you know, other musicians involved. So that's something we've been trying to coordinate for a while. And I think, you know, I always like to start off with like some singles, you know, and I always say I'm going to just, you know, maybe we'll just sprinkle some singles here and there over the next.
That's the trend these days.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's everybody will listen to it, the whole thing, if it's just one. We have a lot of really great friends and fans that listen to all of the music, and it is really fun, but like we can have more satisfaction, audience satisfaction, putting them out as we're working on them or, you know, smaller clusters. It's more of it budgets our time better in terms of like what people get to see.
Yeah. That's
And
awesome.
it hasn't happened yet, but it's still a dream of mine to work on like a score of some sort for a movie, you know, like film, because I've always admired, you know, I'm very influenced by the media and the movies and the film, so it'd just be cool to be like Danny Elfman for a day and just work on some tracks for a film. That'd be fun.
Oh, that's awesome. Cool. Got anything, John?
No, I was going to say either that or like it would be great to do, like you guys were talking about earlier, do a fantastic kick-ass theme song for the newest version of something that could be the next X-Files would be great. That would be a lot of fun too. So, but
yeah, you got to get that sync license money. If not, a video game, an Alien video game would probably be the prime market for.
I could absolutely hear you guys like in Fortnite on the Fortnite radio when you're driving.
Yeah. I've never played Fortnite, but I've watched it, and
they've had like alien themes.
I know what you mean.
Before.
But those sync licenses, bro.
Yep.
Awesome.
Video games are the promised land.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to checking out your whole catalog. I started listening to you in the last couple of weeks, and I'm really interested in checking out some more of the lore going back and some of the interesting stories. So thank you for turning me on to some new stories here. I'm very interested.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. Looking forward to continuing to do stuff with you guys. And we got Strange Tales coming up on the 28th, so about 3 weeks from now. It's coming out fast. So looking forward to all of that.
Yep, and we're looking forward to hearing it. So
awesome.
And thank you, John.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me back, buddy.
Always. All right. And with that, I'm going to hit the closing button. Hey, you made it through an entire episode. Good for you. If you're looking for more, give the rest of the channel a look. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. We'll catch you fuckers next time. Later.